The police brutality against black women shocks the neighborhood, but then this happens. On a quiet evening in a close-knit neighborhood, the usual calm is shattered by the piercing sound of police sirens. Flashing red and blue lights bathe the streets in a chaotic glow. Drawing the attention of the residents, people step out of their homes, concern etched on their faces as they gather on the sidewalks, trying to make sense of the scene unfolding before them. In the middle of the commotion is Lisa Johnson, a well-known figure in the neighborhood. Lisa, a single mother who works tirelessly to provide for her young daughter, Maya, has always been a source of warmth and kindness to those around her. But now she's at the center of a terrifying situation that no one could have anticipated. Two police officers, stern and unyielding, forcefully restrain her, her hands gripping her arms with an intensity that belies the peaceful woman they're dealing with. Lisa's heart pounds in her chest as she tries to stay calm, but the fear is overwhelming. She doesn't understand why this is happening. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's not resisting, but the officers seem determined to treat her as if she's a dangerous criminal. The tightness of their grip and the coldness in their eyes only add to her confusion and dread. Welcome back to PlotTwister. Before we unravel today's mystery, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you're always in the loop. As the police pin Lisa to the ground, the neighborhood watches in shock. Mrs. Green, an elderly neighbor who has known Lisa since she moved in, gasps and clutches her chest. Others in the crowd begin to murmur, their voices a mix of anger and disbelief. A few people pull out their phones, recording the incident, their hands shaking with the adrenaline of the moment. They can't believe what they're seeing. This is Lisa, the woman who always has a smile and a kind word for everyone. How could this be happening to her? Maya, just 8 years old, stands frozen on the front porch, clutching her stuffed bear tightly. Tears stream down her face as she watches her mother being taken away by the very people she was taught to trust. The sight of her mother on the ground, helpless and scared, is something she'll never forget. The tension in the air is palpable, growing thicker with every passing second. The neighbors' fear turns to anger, their disbelief into outrage. This isn't just about Lisa anymore. It's about the safety and justice they all believed in, now shattered in front of their eyes. But as they watch Lisa being taken away, they have no idea that what happens next will change everything. Lisa's breath comes in short, panicked gasps as she struggles to make sense of what's happening. Her cheek is pressed against the rough pavement, the cold seeping through her skin as one officer, Officer Daniels, roughly forces her arms behind her back. The pressure on her wrists is unbearable, and she flinches as the handcuffs snap shut around them. She isn't resisting, but her body shakes with the shock of being treated like a criminal. Her mind races, trying to remember what she could have done to deserve this. Around her, the neighborhood erupts into a chaotic mix of voices. Some are shouting, pleading with the officers to stop, while others stand in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the brutality they're witnessing. Mrs. Green, her voice cracking with emotion, steps forward, her hand outstretched as if she somehow reached Lisa and pull her away from this nightmare. But a stern look from another officer keeps her at bay, her voice lost in the growing din. Lisa's heart breaks as she catches a glimpse of Maya still on the porch, her small frame trembling with fear. Lisa wants to call out to her to tell her everything will be okay, but the words catch in her throat. All she can do is close her eyes and pray that Maya won't have to remember the moment for the rest of her life. The scene escalates as more police cars arrive, blocking off the street, their lights flashing ominously in the evening light. The crowd of neighbors grows, and so does their anger. Phones are out, recording every second, capturing the way Officer Daniels kneels on Lisa's back, his weight pressing down on her as if she's some kind of threat. Lisa cries out in pain, but her voice is swallowed by the chaos around her. In the midst of this, Lisa's mind flashes back to earlier that day when she and Maya had been playing in their small backyard, the sun shining down on them as they laughed and enjoyed their time together. It had been an ordinary, peaceful day, a stark contrast to the horror she's now living through. But there's no time to dwell on that memory. Lisa is pulled to her feet, her arms wrenched painfully behind her as she's led toward a police car. The world around her blurs, the shouts of her neighbors mixing with the pounding of her heart in her ears. She feels the weight of every eye on her, every phone recording her, but she's powerless to do anything but stumble forward as the officers push her into the back seat. As the door slams shut, the sound reverberates through the neighborhood, signaling the end of the life Lisa once knew. The car pulls away, leaving behind a street filled with disbelief, anger, and fear. A neighborhood forever changed by what they've just witnessed. Lisa sits in the cold, dimly lit holding cell, her body aching from the rough handling. The bruises on her wrist throb beneath the tight metal of the handcuffs, and her mind is a whirlwind of confusion and fear. She can't stop replaying the events over and over in her head, trying to make sense of how an ordinary day had turned into this nightmare. Her thoughts constantly drift to Maya, wondering if she's safe, if she's being comforted, or if she's scared and alone. The concrete walls of the cell feel like they're closing in on her, suffocating her as she battles the rising panic. She's always been strong, always fought for a better life for her and Maya, but right now she feels completely powerless. The sound of distant voices and the clinking of keys from somewhere outside the cell offer little comfort. She's trapped in this moment with no idea what's coming next. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, word of Lisa's arrest spread like wildfire. The shock of what happened turns into outrage. Neighbors who had always seen their street as a safe and supportive place now feel betrayed by the very system meant to protect them. The video of Lisa's arrest, captured by multiple phones, circulates on social media, quickly gaining attention. People are horrified by the brutality they witness, and the hashtags #JusticeForLisa and #StopPoliceBrutality begin trending. In the middle of this, Maya is being looked after by Mr. Thompson, an older neighbor who's known Lisa since she moved in. He tries his best to comfort her, offering her cookies and letting her watch cartoons, but nothing can erase the image of her mother being taken away. She clings to her stuffed bear, her eyes wide and distant, as if she's in a world far away from the familiar surroundings of Mr. Thomas's living room. The emotional toll weighs heavy on everyone. Neighbors gather in small groups, discussing what they saw, their voices filled with anger and disbelief. Mrs. Green, still shaken, calls her children to tell them what happened, her voice trembling as she relives the moment Lisa was pinned to the ground. The neighborhood, once a tight-knit community, now feels fractured, divided between the shock of the incident and the urgent need for justice. Back in the cell, Lisa fights to hold on to hope. She knows she needs to stay strong for Maya, but every second that passes chips away at her resolve. She wonders how things could ever go back to normal, or if they even can. But deep down, a small part of her refuses to give up, even in the face of such overwhelming odds. The neighborhood that once buzzed with the sound of kids playing and neighbors chatting now hums with a different energy. Outrage and determination have taken hold, and the community rallies together like never before. The video of Lisa's brutal arrest has sparked something deep within the residents, something that refuses to be silenced. Word spread quickly about a protest. It starts small, with a few neighbors gathering on the corner where Lisa was arrested. They hold signs hastily made but full of meaning. Justice for Lisa, end police brutality, we are watching. The crowd grows steadily as more people join in, driven by a shared sense of justice. What began as a neighborhood gathering soon draws in others from surrounding areas. Friends, family, and even strangers who saw the video online are felt compelled to stand with them. The atmosphere is tense but united. The diverse crowd, young and old, black and white, men and women, chant in unison, their voices echoing down the streets. Lisa's friends, people who's known her for years, speak passionately about the kind of person she is. They tell stories of her kindness, her strength, her unwavering dedication to her daughter. Their words aren't just for the crowd, they're for the cameras, the journalists who've arrived to cover the growing movement. The neighborhood is making sure the world hears their message loud and clear. As the protest grows, so does the media attention. Reporters interview neighbors, capturing their outrage and their hope. Local news stations broadcast the event live, and story gains national traction. Lisa's name becomes a rallying cry, a symbol of a much larger issue that extends far beyond this one neighborhood. In the middle of the protest, amidst the noise and the chaos, one figure stands out: Officer Martinez. He watches from the sidelines, his face conflicted. He was there that night, he saw everything, but he had done nothing. Guilt weighs heavily on him as he listens to the voices calling for justice, knowing that he holds a truth that could change everything. He clutches the evidence in his pocket, his heart pounding as he battles with his conscience. The weight of his silence feels heavier with each passing minute. As the day turns to night, the protest doesn't wane, it strengthens. The neighborhood has come alive with a purpose, every chant, every sign, a declaration that they will not be ignored. They demand justice, not just for Lisa, but for every person who has ever been mistreated or silenced. And in the midst of this powerful movement, something begins to shift. The neighborhood, once quiet and unassuming, has become a force to be reckoned with. The world is watching, and they're ready to fight for what's right. As the protest reaches its peak, the air is thick with anticipation. The crowd, now larger than ever, fills the streets, their chants echoing off the buildings. The neighborhood is no longer just a backdrop, it's the heart of a movement, pulsing with energy and resolve. But amidst the unity, one person stands apart, carrying the weight of a secret that could change everything. Officer Martinez knows he can't stay silent any longer. The guilt has been gnawing at him, and the sight of the community rallying behind Lisa pushes him to the breaking point. With trembling hands, he makes his way through the crowd, heading toward the small group of journalists who have been covering the protest since it began. The evidence in his pocket feels like it's burning a hole through him, demanding to be revealed. He steps forward, his voice shaky but determined, and addresses the reporters. He confesses everything: the wrongful arrest, the unnecessary brutality, and the truth that Lisa was never a threat. As he speaks, he hands over the body cam footage he'd been hiding, footage that shows the entire incident from start to finish. The journalists, initially shocked, quickly realize the magnitude of what they've been handed. The cameras turn toward Martinez, capturing his every word as he finally does what he knows is right. The revelation spreads like wildfire. Within hours, the footage is all over the news, shared across social media, and broadcasted to millions. The impact is immediate. Public outrage turns into demands for action, and under the mounting pressure, the police department is forced to respond. The charges against Lisa are dropped, and the police chief makes a public statement announcing that Officer Daniels has been suspended pending a full investigation. The neighborhood erupts in celebration as the news breaks. The sense of relief is palpable, as if a heavy weight has finally been lifted. People embrace each other, tears of joy mixing with the earlier tears of anger and frustration. For Lisa, the nightmare is over. She is released from custody and returns home to Maya, where they share a tearful, joyous reunion. Maya clings to her mother, refusing to let go, and Lisa holds her close, whispering reassurances that everything is going to be okay. In the days that follow, the community continues to stand together, stronger than ever. Lisa, once a victim of injustice, becomes a voice for change, speaking at rallies and community meetings, determined to make sure that what happened to her never happens again. The neighborhood, once shaken by fear and anger, now shines as a beacon of hope and resilience. What are your thoughts on the twist we uncovered today? Comment your ideas below. Make sure to like and subscribe for a daily dose of drama and mystery. See you later with another twist.